doing? My name is Mario, or I don't know why, but I chose to try and go by Ekman Z from the title of this video. And this will be a debut video of me trying to sort of tip the scales of wisdomatic learning. What I mean by that is that when you learn something that is difficult to learn, there aren't that many sources for us to learn from. You know what I mean? Like we live in a day and age where parenting is kind of failing a bit. I know there's good parents out there, but there's a lot of bad ones too. And mentors in general are just unavoidable, or unavailable rather. And people have no one to really learn from in terms of becoming a wiser person, a person with more inner peace, a person who has solutions to issues regarding anxiety and depression. What we're left with is to learn from life itself. That's the only mentor people have left. And life is brutal, okay? When life wants to teach you something, there is always so much pain in the process of that learning. And that's what I want to try and tip the scales of. Because if life wants to teach you something, it will never fail. It always succeeds in teaching you the thing. That's the thing about life. But the problem is the pain of the process and the amount of resentment that it tends to cause. It's too much for a lot of people. Today's episode, or my first one, will be about personifying depression. Very strange concept, because a lot of people would think that personifying your depression, giving it a face, a name, a voice, would be the act of creating your own nightmare. You know what I mean? Like you're basically making the villain that is towering over you. But I disagree. And I learned the technique of personifying depression over many years in terms of trial and error. I was doing it, I didn't even know I was doing it. It just happened. And then I realized what I was doing. I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. You know what I mean? Because that's what I did. I personified my depression. I gave it a face, I gave it a voice, I gave it form. And then I realized that I was basically giving myself a target to punch. You know what I mean? Like if I go to the big sandbag and I start punching it, I had a picture, a straight up personification with a voice, face, personality, everything that I could put on the bag and punch it if I wanted to. It was to that degree. And then it occurred to me that as a side effect of personifying your depression, you are organizing it. You know what I mean? What makes depression as lethal as it is that it gives off that it overtowers you. That is, that its ability in comparison to what you can do is so much more. That it towers over you, that it has so much more control, so much more power. That's where depression becomes dangerous. It's dangerous because it seems insurmountable. If I'm using the word right. Bear with me. And that's not actually true. You know what I mean? Depression is an issue of the mind, right? That's where it strikes. It strikes where you're most vulnerable, the mind. But it's still your mind. You get to choose the playing field, and eventually you learn that you can do that. Depression wins when it makes it so you don't realize that. It has the ability to fool you in thinking that it has all the power because of where it is. But no, in actuality, it turns out that it's more like a boxing match. I like to use boxing a lot as an analogy when talking about depression, because the realization is that depression is beating you into a corner. But there's no one that actually really said in your mind that you can't punch back, making it a fair fight. And it turns out that it can be a fair fight the minute you realize the option is even there. A lot of people don't realize that. They let their depression tower over them. And there's a lot of things I can go into that might help defeating this. And there will be more episodes to talk about those things. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is the realization that in your mind, you are the one who chooses the playing field. You are the one who makes the rules, basically. So why not start making rules that are in your favor instead of letting depression deciding what the rules are? No, you pick the rules, you make them, you make it a fair fight, and then you start realizing that the whole time depression was attacking you, you get to punch back. And then you're just learning this. It's like, oh my god, really? I can actually go at it with this guy? And then next thing you know, you start winning. You know what I mean? You become above your own depression. And this technique, like I said, it was purely by accident. I did it for years and years, and I didn't realize I was doing it. It started as I'm not gonna lie, it started as an inner anger, an inner resentment that I was having. And over the years, I realized that I was pointing my anger at depression. I was angry not at myself, not at my situation. I was angry at the depression itself, the effect, not what was causing it. And that's what allowed me to slowly realize that by making my anger so precise in its aim, that I eventually was able to organize it in such a way where I was attacking my depression itself by giving myself a viable target. You know what I mean? And I kept doing it because I would do that. I would give it a form. I would give my depression a form, a voice, a distinctive face. But the trick is I would always give it a voice that I can laugh at. I would give it a face that, like, you can't not punch that face. You know what I mean? That's what I was doing. I was giving it a form I can deliberately look down on. And then I would take my depression and I would take that form that I created and I would put them in the same category. So that way, I would literally put them in the same jar. So that way, when I felt my depression, when I felt the resulting emotion that it was causing, I would constantly remember that form as a side effect. I kept following the self-realization of suffering from depression. It would go from that, and it would go from that to the form that I had made, and made a habit of always remembering that form anytime I was depressed, so that I knew how to aim that depression. I kept focusing my aim on that form, organizing it, constantly putting it in the same spot, so that when it was time for me to swing, I knew where I was swinging. You know, as opposed to taking it out on people around me, family and friends, you know, as opposed to making them suffer the side effects of my depression. Well, to be blunt, they wouldn't. You know what I mean? I've never really had the habit of doing that to begin with. And I think it's because I always had the habit of giving my depression a target and taking it out on that target as opposed to those around me. So in a way, I was kind of doing it naturally, but over the years, I realized I was doing it. And I want to see if this technique of putting your depression in a specific box in which you design what it looks like, what it sounds like, and all of that, I want to see if that technique can help you. Okay? So if you know anybody that suffers from depression that you think might need to hear this, let them have it. Share this video, like and subscribe if you're inclined to. It's not a big deal if you don't. I want to do this to help, I just want people to get better. People should get better. And again, who are they learning from? You know what I mean? A lot of these people, they don't have anywhere to go to. And if they hire a psychoanalyst, they're going to pay big bucks. That's very expensive. So I'm on here trying to tip the balance so that people have a source they can go to, and the only thing they need is the internet. and access to YouTube or wherever else I would post this. So yeah, if you know somebody that can benefit from the technique that I have just offered, go ahead and let them see it. Hopefully it helps, even if it's just a little. And again, yeah, if you want to subscribe and like the video, you can do that too, especially if it means that other people will get to see it. That's my concern. I want to make sure that videos that I make on these subjects get as many views as they can, so they can benefit as many people as they can. And this technique, that was just on depression. In the future, there will be videos regarding anxiety. There will be videos regarding just wisdom as a whole, its own structure. We're going to make a foundation on this. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.